If you can discern and hear and recognize the voice of God in your life, then you can discern what the counterfeit is. The counterfeit just sticks out. You can know right away, oh, that's not God. If you really know the true thing, the real thing. But I am going to go through a little bit where we can kind of discern. We don't want to be ignorant of the enemy's schemes because he's a punk. And the enemy, this is what he sounds like. John 8:44, it says straight up, he's a liar. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. That's what he does. He's just a compulsive liar, and that's what he does to us every day. He just lies, 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 lies. And if you're listening to his voice and you're not recognizing that it's him speaking, and you put value in and you put weight into what he's saying, you're going to be following a lie in your life. And I mean, here's a straightforward, he is the opposite of all the things God is. The opposite. He is not patient. He's not kind. I mean, you can literally just put in the not there in the 1 Corinthians 13. He acts disgracefully. He acts for his own benefit. He rejoices in unrighteousness. He does not rejoice in the truth. He's everything that Jesus is not. So if you know Jesus and you know his voice, you discern his voice clearly and accurately, you can easily identify the enemy's voice. He is always trying to kill, steal, and destroy you. But most of the time he's not doing it in like an overtly way. Like I said earlier when I was talking, he does it very slyly. He kind of actually tricks us into thinking we came up with the idea. And we're like, he's not like this blatant, just like, I'm the enemy and you are an idiot or whatever. You know what I mean? He doesn't just like blatantly comes. He kind of slyly gets into your thought life, or he speaks through somebody, says, and he speaks through people that have been placed in your life that have authority over you sometimes, and you like kind of value those words for, and it directs your path. So the enemy, he's always trying to kill, steal, destroy. He's always trying to divide. Now, Jesus did say that he came with the sword to bring division, but obviously that was for the kingdom's sake. But the enemy is always trying to divide. And just a quick example of this, I remember back in when I was in college, I was leading worship for the college ministry there. And we'd have people come from all over. We were in Baltimore. And just come all over, to experience God, to go after God. And not just people from the college. And I remember this one guy, he came, was his first time coming. He was standing in the back. I didn't really notice him, or, there was like over a couple hundred people there or something. But he I ran up to him at the end of the service, or our time, we really want a service, but worship time. And he just kind of stood out, and I just kind of welcomed him and was talking to him. And we just we hit it off. I mean, we were like kindred spirits. I mean, just talking about the Lord, talking about worship, talking about ministry, talking about life, all these things. And we talked for over an hour. And I remember he told me after all of that, we got, good enough to be honest with each other in just that short amount of time. He said, you know what? When I first saw you, I didn't like you. And I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, when I saw you leading worship up there, I thought you were arrogant, and I didn't want to talk to you or have anything to do with you. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And but he recognized he was listening to the wrong voice. The enemy didn't want me and him to connect. So he began to speak to him like, look at that guy up there on the stage. He thinks he's all that. He's arrogant. He began to speak into his and tempt him to actually value what he was saying and actually like act on it to the point that we wouldn't have connected. Because, later down the line, really probably a couple months later, we started doing ministry together in downtown, like ghetto Baltimore. I mean, we're talking like third world country, row houses, people running around, little kids running around with no shoes on in the middle of the street where there's like needles and crack pipes. I mean, I remember one time I went to my friend's house and there was some shady dude like standing in between this. It was at night. It was late at night. I don't know what I was doing. I was just crazy back then. This shady looking dude like standing in between the row houses in the alleyway. And I just kind of, went up to the house. I'm like, man, there's some dudes. That's Charlie. He's a neighborhood crack dealer. I mean, this is the place. But like we connected and the enemy knew and he saw the potential of that relationship. So he began to speak into my friend's life to try to divide us before we even met. This is the power of who we believe and who we're listening to. And recognizing it. But here's the thing. My friend, he had no clue that he was listening to the enemy at first. He thought he was coming up with this himself. Look at this guy. He looks arrogant. I don't want anything to do with this guy. But really, the whole time it was like the enemy's like, man, look at this guy. Hey, don't you think that guy's arrogant? Yeah, man, he's arrogant. I'm just kind of like picturing what was going on in his head, Man, you don't want anything to do with that guy. Yeah, I don't want anything. You guys watch Star Wars before? You guys know what Jedi mind tricks are? You remember that one scene where Obi-Wan Kenobi is like riding in the speeder with Luke? They're going on their way to see Han Solo to get off of Tatooine. Okay, I'm nerding out here. But you guys remember that scene? And then the stormtroopers stop them, and Obi-Wan was like, you're going to let us go. And the stormtrooper's like, I'm going to let you go. And like, I can't remember all the scene, but he basically was speaking these words and he was tricking the stormtrooper into thinking he was actually coming up with this. The enemy plays us like that. It is important to know his voice, to recognize it. So it was awesome. So we did some awesome ministry out in Baltimore. We did worship out in the middle of the ghetto. It was awesome. But the enemy knew that. He knew we were going to do damage together, that relationship together. So he tried to divide us, and he did it through his voice and disguising it. All right. So that's how he sounds. He tries to imprison us. He tries to condemn us. One of the biggest things the Holy Spirit showed me when I was first walking with the Lord was the difference between his voice and how he convicts. Because, the Holy Spirit will convict us of our sin. Thank goodness he convicts us of our sin. I ask Holy Spirit to do it all the time because I know I have this perspective. I have this paradigm shift that my sin is stealing from me and from the people around me. But the cool thing about the Holy Spirit is like when he brings conviction, he always is doing it to bring us freedom. He's always bringing us somewhere free. He's always bringing us somewhere where of joy, of peace, of love, of more of him. But the enemy, when he brings condemnation, he makes us look internal and he just beats us up with it. Look at you. You're no good. You did this. You did that. And he keeps repeating it. And he's trying to imprison you in condemnation instead of setting you free. That's the difference between the enemy's voice when it's talking about your sin. The difference between condemnation and conviction. They speak very different from each other. But I know a lot of Christians who are literally in a prison of condemnation from their past. They can't get free of it. Even though they've asked the Lord to forgive them 1,000,000 times, the enemy still comes and they still believe it's the Holy Spirit speaking to them, condemning them. When it's the enemy the whole time, keeping them in that prison that has an open jail cell door. All right.